When it comes to the coolest and most incredible Marvel characters, people often neglect the Ghost Rider. Why? It's hard to say. Either the thing is that, unlike others, this guy has not flashed in the film adaptations of the Agents of the Account series for a long time. Or he is simply too hot. Jokes are jokes, but even I, being one of the strongest heroes, rarely included the spirit of retribution in them. And I confess, I'm ashamed. A character endowed with the powers of the devil himself, capable of tearing Thanos apart, simply should not be deprived of attention. It's time to fix this mistake a long time ago. Sit back and hold on tight, because we are about to push the pedal to the floor with all our might and rush along the top. With the most powerful incarnations of the Ghost Rider. And I would like to open this top, probably the most unusual and cool of all the versions of our guest today. A member of the prehistoric Avengers team on the historical Ghost Rider. The first of the heroes to receive the power of the spirit of retribution. And perhaps the most epic, because his transport is a huge mammoth, engulfed in flames from fangs to hooves. An incredible sight. And he also has an ability that none of the other racers possess. He can manipulate the bones of the dead and even reanimate them. Side by side, Sodina MZ Phoenix on the historic racer engaged in battle with a celestial named Fallen. There are not many characters in the entire Marvel universe who can compete with the Celestials themselves. Therefore, this version of the Ghost Rider is not only the first of all, but also one of the most powerful. Enough time has passed since those distant times. It was only in 1700 that the spirit of retribution found a new carrier in the person of Noble Kale, which for a long time was considered the original Ghost Rider. And he was incredibly strong. Mounted on a horse, armed with a burning sword, he posed a serious threat to enemies. But behind the back of the fiery horseman, there is a whole story, a complete loss, and leading to a terrible ending. Noble's father, Pastor Kale, was a servant of Mephisto's. Because of his radical views, the young noble hid his beloved Magdalena from his father. Their romance would have remained a secret if one day Magdalena had not found out that she was pregnant. Then Noble had to tell his father everything, and the lovers got married. But their happiness did not last long, exactly until the moment when the girl learned the truth about the shepherd, and about his service as a mythologist. In order to keep his secret, Keel the Elder declared Magdalena a witch and gave the order to burn her. Knowing that his son would resist the order and try to interfere, the pastor beat him and locked him in the church. Dying, Magdalena prayed to the ancient spirit of rage with a request to take revenge on the murderer. Then he heard her, and the spirit of rage came to Noble. The young man went to Mephisto's for protection, but the devil, knowing that the Kale family is the keeper of an ancient amulet, a medallion of power, activates it. Thanks to which Noel Kale finally turns into his servant, a Ghost Rider. Obsessed with revenge, Kale kills both Rage and his father. Only when he turns back into a human, he realizes what he has done and decides to commit suicide. For the next 300 years, Noble Kale's soul remained tied to the Medallion of Power, giving powers to anyone who took possession of the amulet. After this terrible story, there were other carriers of the spirit of retribution, but I want to focus on Danny Ketchie. After all, he is exactly the one thanks to whom people fell in love with the Ghost Rider, with its stylish spiked leather jacket and fancy striker. Moreover, the fate of Danny Ketch is closely intertwined with Noble Kale. Having met in hell, these two destroyed Blackheart himself, the son of the devil. But Bel took his throne, resurrecting Ketch. But at the next meeting, Danny realized that without a human host, Kill loses control of his abilities and goes crazy. Then he invited the spirit to unite, and Danny Cage became a Ghost Rider again. One of the strongest and coolest in history. But not only brutal harsh men became carriers of the spirit of retribution. Having first appeared during the original Sin event, Alejandro Jones became perhaps the most adequate hostess. Not surprisingly, Alejandro has been trained for this since her childhood. She was even able to use abilities that other racers hadn't even thought about yet. Having achieved such success, Alejandra still could not hold on to the top 4 long enough because the returning Johnny Blaze took away part of her abilities in order to regain the form of a Ghost Rider again. But even in that short period of time, Alejandro Jones was remembered by readers as one of the strongest and most incredible Ghost Riders, and the only Ghost Rider. Sometimes, however, absolutely strange and crazy things happened. So one day, from the strength of a racer, he got a rally. Not crazy enough for you. Now imagine that at the same time, Rock received venom from the symbiote. Yes, Venom Rock with the powers of the spirit of retribution. This is really one of the strongest Ghost Riders. It happened in a crossover between Agent Venom, Rock, and Ghost Rider, respectively. So much strange symbiosis was needed to defeat the villain Blackheart. However, with such an impressive set, it would be possible to crush anyone at all. Write in the comments which of the Marvel Universe characters could resist such a merger of the three heroes. If any of the characters can do it at all. And we will continue. But to become a bearer of the spirit of retribution, it is not necessary to become a Ghost Rider. One day, Mephisto tricked the Priz Racer into burning Father Michael Badilina. Then he made a deal with the devil, asking for Basil, which can help take revenge on the Racer. After receiving the Medallion of Power and taking the name Retribution, Michael got into a fight with the Ghost Rider, almost defeating him. And he probably would have even killed the Racer if he hadn't found out the truth about his father's death. The heroes concluded a truce, and Michael devoted his life to fighting monsters like Mephisto's. After Badilin's death, another character took the place of Retribution. Policeman Kowalski. Obsessed with revenge and possessed of a power comparable to that of the Ghost Rider, Kowalski came close to killing Johnny and Lisa with his own person. If it wasn't for Danny Ketch, Retribution, you definitely managed to finish off the Racer. Later, Kowalski joined the team of the Lords of Evil, continuing to wreak havoc and destruction. However, enough about the villains. After all, it's much more interesting, but another story. About the youngest, both by age and by the appearance of the character in the comics. Robbie Racy. Despite the fact that readers have already seen enough bearers of the spirit of retribution, and it was already extremely difficult to surprise them, Robbie was able to ignite from the very beginning of the story. A young mechanic and street racer. A teenager dreams of getting out of an area that is mired in corruption and crime. He was burdened, as well as caring for his disabled younger brother. In order to earn money for him and move to a safe area, Robbie gets involved in a dangerous street race, in the hope of getting the main prize $50,000. He had few chances, but with the help of his skill and luck, the teenager managed to break into the lead. But there was one fatal detail. In the car that Reese used to participate in the race, the chemicals of the villain Mr. Hyde were stored. Noticing a tail behind him, which Robbie took for the police. He tries to escape from his pursuers so as not to be arrested, but accidentally drives into a dead end. The guy tries to explain to the pursuers that he is still young and has done stupid things, but the criminals shoot at the teenager. So Robbie would have died there, in the ill-fated alley, if an unknown spirit had not possessed his body, turning Reese into a new Ghost Rider. An amazing touching story, stylish and cool appearance, as well as a freaky car, made Robbie Reese almost the most beloved Ghost Rider in the eyes of readers. And probably the only racer that still competes with Robbie Reese. This is the beloved and beloved Johnny Blaze by almost all fans. This hero has surprised us more than once with his incredible abilities, increasing with each of his subsequent appearances. By the way, his powers are extremely underestimated, because Johnny Blaze was able to defeat Doctor Strange, the Mythist. And what's more, during the Hulk's World War, Blaze was able to fight Hulk himself on equal terms at the peak of his power. And when Johnny fully masters the power of the spirit of retribution granted to him, he will be able to destroy any character. Anyone but one. Space Ghost Rider. Yes, no matter how cool the previous incarnations were, they all fade against the background of the spirit of retribution. From an alternative future, Frank Casala, better known as the Punisher, escaped death by making a deal with Mephisto, and turned into a new Ghost Rider. Later, he also became the Herald of Galactus, receiving part of his cosmic power. Such a set easily allowed Castle to become the most powerful Ghost Rider ever alive. So powerful that he needs to restrain his powers so as not to destroy the planets he travels on. Frank defeated Thanos, survived the cosmic impact of Galactus himself, and did a lot of incredible things. This is for the short period of time that he is present in the comics. It's even scary to imagine what else the Space Ghost Racer is capable of. These incarnations of the spirits of retribution can really easily erase Thanos into powder, and the characters, which is many times greater than the Titan in strength. It turned out to be quite extensive and diverse. Therefore, each of you can easily choose your pet. Do you like the image of a racer on a stylish cool bike, a car as powerful as a Mustang, a more classic horse? Or your choice is a giant prehistoric mammoth? Be sure to share it in the comments.